Do you have a way to cope with anxiety and panic attacks?
That is a great question. Thank you for asking that. A lot of people deal with horrible anxiety to the point where they can't even function. Can you imagine waking up in sheer panic every single day? I have. I know exactly what that's like. And a lot of people suffer from that. And a lot of times the only solution they really have is to take drugs, take something to calm them down, but then they don't want to be medicated, so to speak. And that's frustrating to people. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but what a horrible experience to be in that state on a constant basis. My brother lived in a panic attack almost his entire life up until about 5 years ago, and he's never had a panic attack again. One of my students, her name is Shelly Rogers, she told us when she came to my live training that she literally had panic attacks every single day. And then when she signed up for my course, the 7 Steps to Reprogramming Yourself, she was hoping she'd be able to resolve her anxiety and panic attacks at some point using my process. On the very first day of the course, she told us she was having a panic attack sitting in her chair the entire day. And that she was literally hanging with her fingernails on a cliff, trying to hold on for dear life and take notes and listen to what I was saying so she could learn the 7 steps to reprogramming herself and actually do something about her anxiety, hoping that there'd be a chance to practice that day. To learn the 7 steps to reprogramming yourself takes 3 full days. And even then, most people need some coaching and training after that to really get it. On the first day, however, you do get to practice it in its most basic form. And so there she was with her partner, erasing her anxiety, the panic attack she was literally having. And she came up and told us that after 20 minutes, it was gone. 20 minutes. And that it never came back. Ever. Years later, she came to the seminar. I have 25 courses. And she told the audience, I've never had a panic attack since then. That was 2015. Interestingly enough, then she switched with her partner and she erased her partner's root cause of smoking cigarettes, and her partner quit smoking that day, never to smoke again. Isn't that crazy? You see, the unconscious mind is so powerful. It's much more powerful than the conscious mind. And when you work in the unconscious mind and make changes there, you can see incredible mind-blowing changes in your life and in your reality. Now, Shelley's example is a really easy example. Only one layer of panic and it never came back. That's not actually how it happens for every person. Yes, I have many, many other examples like Shelley, but my example is very different. I used to wake up in a panic attack every single morning. Every morning I wake up like this. My body would be freaked out. And I didn't even realize, I just knew I had this anxiety. I didn't know that it should be called a panic attack until I went to some of my friends who are practitioners and they said, Arnoux, you're having panic attacks in the morning. And I said, oh, that's what that is. I'm waking up freaked out. Yeah, that is a panic attack. It was a result of years and years of horrific childhood abuse and trauma. Mind-blowingly evil stuff. And I'm not going to get into the horrors of my childhood, but that's where the panic ultimately came from. That repeated abuse on a daily basis is a terrible thing to do to anybody. And when you have repeated abuse every day for literally 15, 20 years, you can have more than one layer, like Shelley. And so every single morning when I woke up in panic, I did the 7 steps to reprogramming yourself and erased one layer of panic. And in my case, each of these layers would take an hour to 4 hours, not 20 minutes. That's crazy. Hardly anybody will have any layer, even one layer, that takes a whole hour. Most people don't have any layers that intense. But if you were abused as a child, you might be like me and my brother and have some layers of panic that are really intense and could take more than 20 minutes to clear. And the thing was for me, the next day, wake up and another panic attack. The next layer. That's all that it was. It didn't mean that it didn't work. The first layer was gone. It was just the next layer. And then the next day, and then the next day, for 300 days in a row. And then one day I woke up, Nothing. No panic. No more, nothing. And guess what happened? The next day, nothing. The next day, nothing. The next day, the next year, the next 5 years, nothing. Gone forever. In my case, 300 intense layers. Why? I had one of the most horrific childhoods imaginable. Shelly's case, 1 layer, only 20 minutes. Well, you're probably going to be somewhere in between. 99% of people are going to be somewhere in the realm of Shelly, 1 to 5 layers. And then you have the rare person who was severely abused. It's going to be more than 5 layers. Like, for example, people with depression, sometimes they got many, many, many layers. Okay, well, what do? You keep going until you get to the last layer, just like I did. No more panic attacks. My brother was the same. No panic attacks for him for 5 years. You know how that makes me feel. I mean, he's my brother. We're so close. We love each other so much. And to see him in that stressful panic feeling was terrible. And to have him come up on stage in front of a huge audience and say, I haven't had a panic attack in 4 years, that was more than a year ago, that's amazing. So when people ask me, do you have a way to deal with stress or anxiety or panic attacks? Yes, I do. Now, I know it might sound too good to be true, because you might have been to all different types of practitioners who had no way of resolving your panic. In fact, they probably told you there is no way. How many times have you heard someone say there's no way, it's going to be there with you forever? Well, don't listen to them. When someone tells you there's no way to do it, that just means they don't know how. That doesn't mean there is no way. That's ridiculous. That's not what winners say. Champions don't say there's no way to do it. They say, I'm going to figure out how to do it, which is exactly what I did. When I tried to find out how to get rid of negative emotions permanently, the world told me there is no way to do that. And what did I say to the world? Yes, there is. You just haven't figured it out yet. And then I did figure it out. I used it for myself. And then I realized other people wanted to learn it and use it too. So I started teaching other people until it became this huge thing. I didn't actually realize at the time that I invented the 7 Steps to Reprogramming Yourself that it was a monumental breakthrough in human consciousness, and that no one in human history had ever figured out how to delete negative thoughts from the unconscious mind permanently. I'm sorry if you're a hypnosis or NLP practitioner, I have a master's in both. Those methods are all about putting positive things in the unconscious, but not taking out the negative ones, which is what you really want to do. You can put all the happy, peaceful programs that you want into the unconscious. It's not going to necessarily get rid of someone's anxiety. If you can delete the actual cause of the anxiety, it never comes back. Joyce Schumacher, what an amazing story. You know, she came to the seminar and she got in front of everyone and said that she was having panic attacks for 18 years. Can you imagine? 18 years. And she did the 7 steps. She never told us how many layers she had when she shared her testimonial. She just said, I did the 7 steps and I haven't had a panic attack since. 18 years of suffering just gone. It's amazing. It's amazing. And she said that when she'd go on an airplane, I think it was Joyce, she said she'd get panic attacks going on airplanes and it's just not there. I remember her specifically saying, it's just not part of who I am anymore. And the people who suffer with anxiety feel like that's part of who they are because it's so stuck with them. It's like part of their life constantly. And when it's really gone, it's amazing because at first you wake up and you forget that you ever had panic attacks, or that you ever had anxiety. And then one day you realize, oh my God, I used to have anxiety all the time. What happened to it? Oh yeah, I erased it. It's like you wake up in a parallel universe where it never existed at all. You can only imagine how it feels to be me. To have so many people say, I don't have anxiety, I don't have panic attacks anymore after going through my program. It feels amazing. And I want everyone to know this. It's my dream that everyone in the world will know how to erase the negative emotions and thoughts from their unconscious in a permanent way so that we can change this planet. Nobody needs to live with panic attacks or anxiety anymore. And the only reason why someone is still living with that is because they haven't met me and taken my program. That's the only reason. They just don't know how. And I have figured out not just how to do it, but how to teach it so everyone can understand it. And you can take that course right now on demand as fast as you want. Go through the whole 3-day training in 2 days on your phone anywhere in the world. You can do it right now. You don't have to wait. And you can literally, after 4 hours of training, just like Shelly, erase the first layer. Oh my goodness. What are you waiting for? If you want to learn more about the 7 steps to reprogramming yourself, click on the link below and find out more. I have a bunch of free webinars and free videos like this one where you can learn more about what I do and about how your mind works. But really, what are you waiting for? Just go right to the 7 steps information page and learn more about it. And I'll tell you all the things you want to know about it, how it works, how you can do it, and even how to be a practitioner if you want to help other people. My name's Arnoux Goran. Thanks for watching. I hope you subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you soon.